About the ego, it's not silent at all. It wants to be the director and continue to dictate to you exactly what it thinks you are, should be, and should do. The confusion it engenders often pulls you into life's dramatic movie even further, convincing you that whatever you are experiencing is real. If you look at the cliche of me, myself, and I, you might recognize the me in this saying as what you once thought yourself to be, separate, alone, and detached. With this viewpoint, seeking self-gain is automatic. You do not have much of a choice in the matter, because such an attitude is never about the true you. It is always about the ego and what it wants. You must be willing to toss that me of yours into love's purifying fires to ignite the flame of who you really are. You must reverse the formula from me, myself, and I to I, myself, and me. First, see God, I, as the totality of all things. Next, honor the higher self in everyone, then accept everyone as they really are, facets of you, me. When you have a dream at night, it is a dream, and at the same time, it is not. In your waking state of consciousness, when everything seems too tangible, that too is a dream. The reality is that both provide you with experiences that are integral to your growth. The dichotomy is that since both are dreams dreamed from God's mind, everything in your waking state and your sleeping state is an illusion as well as real. Your ability to differentiate between the two is what makes one more real than the other. The one that you decide is a closer representation of you is the higher reality. The other is more likely to be the illusion or the lower reality. But keep in mind, this is only relative, because the decision between higher and lower can vary from person to person. And even though you deem something to be either real or illusory, do not lose sight of the real truth, that God is the dreamer behind both. Remember this, and the you that sleeps with your eyes open will awaken. Unconditional love. Remember, balance. God says, I have never seen a flaw in anything. I only see the perfection in what I have done, am doing, and will forever do. There's a fine line between judgment and creation. Those who dwell on the judgment side are seeing a world through their own imperfections and are keeping them separate from that which is already perfect. Conscious practitioners spend at least a little time each day reflecting on their lives, day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year. This lets them see patterns and gives them clues as to why they are where they are. Their self-reflection is the springboard that lets them make the best choice at any God-given moment. And since they're always looking to find a better way to flow with the universal current, they take full advantage of the coincidences that happen in their life, synchronicity, and use those to decode signals from the higher self. As a result, their quality of life is enhanced. By aligning with universal forces, spiritual practitioners are able to tap into them for the betterment of themselves and the rest of mankind. Their road to God is dramatically shortened to only a few lives, because they have chosen to learn while they live life and not relying solely on the life overview you all come to expect when you die. In contrast, unconscious practitioners live the same routine day after day. They never reflect on the past, instead they dwell upon it, all the while fearing the future. They are rarely open to receive any of the miracles that could sweeten and ease their lives. So they work to gain the money that they think will enhance them. Unconscious practitioners are only concerned what they can get while they are living. They mostly learn about spirit during their death transitions, when they are shown how much the choices they made affected everyone in their most recent life experience as well as themselves. But even though they may have learned from their life overview, it does not mean that they are apt to reach a higher place in the next incarnation. Their ongoing procrastination will cause them to hack away at life until they experience something of great enormity that motivates them towards spirit, or until they choose the spiritual path of their own volition. If you really want to help someone that you care about, you do not have to do anything for them. You can get the job done just by being the anchor of love. Your help might not be helping. We want to help. We do. Because of people's rebellious nature, it may keep them from receiving your help. Or their spirit might simply reject it because your help would undermine their growth. This is not the outcome we want. Whatever the reason, their present circumstance is one which they and they alone must figure out. God told me, Keith, I hear their cries too for days, months, even years on end. But I too must step back, for if I played God, that would stop their evolution and rob them of the free will I have freely given to them. I asked a question to God. I said, I don't get it. So you just do nothing? It says, I help all the time. But many have not done the work required for them to recognize it when it does show up. Nevertheless, they try to make the best of their lives using what little faith they do have. My goal is to no longer effort. I want to become a master deliberate creator. I want to will my life. Give me a thought. It happens. Jesus does it. Sai Baba does it. Masters, avatars, people every day will their lives just by simply intention, mere intention. Thought, feeling, and relativity is the name of this chapter. Using the divine principle as a mirror to see where we might have an imbalance and rectifying that. Since you are a spiritual work in process, you perceive most things made up of solid matter. For example, this chair, this table, and not free energy. Your mind sees a chair as a chair and a table as a table. Until you change your mind, that chair will remain a chair, and that table will remain a table. They cannot become anything else until you make that shift. If you were to point to a chair, if this was a wooden chair, if you were to point to a chair and ask a Zen master, what is that? The answer he would give you most likely would not match your own. He might tell you that it's firewood or a step ladder. And I asked the question, well, why in the world would he do that? Because that master, with his advanced way of seeing things, understand that that chair could become firewood or a ladder if he needed it to be. Since we are not similarly attuned, your mind still convinces you that you're looking at a chair, even though your eyes are seeing it as the radiated light it is. So if you want to be able to transform that chair into a table, you have to first know that that chair is not separate from you. You must see it as an extension of your own self. Once you begin to see such dense matter as light particles, next time you're driving down the expressway and you see a tree line in the distance, when it's safe to do so, look this far above the top of the trees. You will see an exact invisible duplicate of the tree. It's the next layer, probably ethereal, other than the physical matter. And walk outside, find a patch of blue sky, what doesn't hurt your eyes, and let your eyes lose focus. And you'll start seeing these white things everywhere. People say that those things swim in your eyes. Wrong. They're individual units of they're photons, seeing energy. So once we begin to become spiritually endowed, this starts taking on a different appearance. It starts blending together. We start seeing energy. Wow, I just saw it all over her. All over you. You will realize that your mind has indeed made a shift, that your own free will has changed and made a different choice. and has anchored everything is one principle deep within. Peace is a state of mind. Bliss is a state of heart. Heaven is a state of being. Take a moment, imagine you are sitting by a small still pond. As you look into it, you see in your face, looking back at you. You try to touch your reflection, but as your hand skims the water, the image disappears. When that happens, you feel certain that what you have seen is an illusion. So you reach up to touch your face, confident that your tangible body is real and your reflection is not. But do not be fooled. Only your experience of the experience, or any experience, is what is real. And no matter what you believe about anything, all you will ever see is yourself. There are no neutral thoughts. All love-based or fear-based. Love-based thoughts are permissive and cast no judgment. Fear-based thoughts do just the opposite. If you imagine you're listening to a radio, your thoughts can be compared to the volume, the station that you choose to listen to. I choose that station or that thought. The volume would be your power, your feeling. And the louder you turn your radio up, the bigger, quicker it manifests in your life. And depending on which station you choose, your radio is going to play you the love song or the blues. Control. The human condition. Control. 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 I suggest the next time you feel that overwhelming need to control yourself instead. Letting go through control. That sounds contradictory. Yes, but it works. You may feel panicky at first, but not for long, I assure you. Because once you get used to that inverted dynamic, you will begin to notice the resistance disappearing. I can also assure you that the more you practice controlling your need to control, the more proficient you will become at it. And the more you practice, the more you will see how you're more able to get more out of losing control than you were trying to get through control. And the benefits will be so much more to your liking. I often use this analogy. Imagine you're trying to manipulate your life. You're trying to make your life happen. By nobody's fault, by default, taught, we have to manipulate the world. And that wheel spins like this because we're so doggone sure. And when things don't go right, that wheel spins even faster to make sure I get what I want the way I want, how, when, and with who and where. It doesn't work. In fact, what you're doing is pissing people off. And the person that you're trying to smother has had enough of that and they're gone. Opposite result happens. You've lost what you were trying to create. But as you start monitoring your need to control everything, that wheel starts slowing down. Here's where it gets a little funky. That place is walking through the door. And the wheel starts doing this, the opposite direction. And you catch yourself, next thing you know, you're no longer even doing any of this. The river of life is moving through you. And now you are a master. You're letting life energy move through you. It's all about being in practice of love, balancing yourself. Someone comes into your face. It's a reflection of your own imbalance. And you can literally change that dynamic forevermore by not seeing them as in your face, but crying out for help. That dynamic will change it. Because if you respond to them by their attack, it's control. I'm trying to control this person so they'll move in a way that offends me. Step out the way, and then they fall on their face. Then what you do is help them up. You've changed the entire dynamic of their life, your life.